Breaking news this morning, a major water main break took place in Emporia at 1:30 this morning, leaving thousands without water in Emporia and surrounding areas at this hour. We are now going to take you live to a news conference where officials are now briefing the public.
Frank Abart, the Director of Public Works from the City of Emporia. Frank will answer questions and make a statement briefly first and get you updated, and then we'll be open for questions. So I'm going to turn it over to Frank.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming. I will just get into the details of where we started with all of this. Around about 2 or 3 o'clock this morning, we had a major water main failure. It's on a 20-inch main. This is one of 2 mains that come directly out of the water plant and feeds the entire city and the region, actually, for potable water. So as a result, it drained our reserves pretty quickly, as a violated 20-inch main will do under pressure. And by the time we were able to get there, we pretty much had to shut down the main, which then shut down service to the entire area. So currently, in order to make that repair, we had to shut the plant down, essentially, as you all know by this time. At this moment, we have made the repair. Within the last 30 minutes or so, the repair has been completed. As I'm speaking to you right now, we are beginning the slow process of rebooting the water treatment plant and slowly bringing the system back up to speed. And for a lot of reasons, you can't just turn everything on full bore like you would your garden hose or anything like that. Otherwise, we'll do significant damage to the system. So it's going to be a slow process. We're estimating probably in the neighborhood of about 5 or 6 hours just to bring the water system back up to full capability. And so as far as I know, speaking with staff, this hasn't happened in over 30 years, way over 30 years. So as a result, we're going to be very careful about how we bring this back up, because honestly, we don't know what's going to happen. You've had pipes that were under pressure for 30 years, then they didn't have pressure. Now we're going to bring things back up. So this will be a slow, deliberate process to make sure that we don't create more problems than we're trying to resolve at this point. I think that's probably the gist of it at this point, and I'm going to take some questions and I'll do my best to answer them, if anybody has any.
Talk about that danger of turning on the water. You can't do it full bore because what? And are you expecting that there's going to be pipes failing elsewhere because of this? It's
a pretty old system, and one of the first things that we have to do when we start bringing that water system back up is to be bleeding off the air at strategic points as we go along. So we have a crew of, I think there's at least 6 or more people with the fire department as well as with the public works staff that are organized, and they're strategically opening those to bleed the air off as we start feeding the main system back up. The age of the system, is going to be a contributing factor. I'd say that was a contributing factor to the failure in the first place. And so I don't know what to expect. Nobody else knows what to expect, but we're going to go really slow and careful about how we bring the system back up.
Why would you need a boil advisory? I mean, the water's in the system. Are you afraid of something leaking inside, or why would you need a boil?
You almost always need a boil advisory whenever your system loses pressure. And the entire system now has been without pressure for several hours. And there's always a danger of contamination whenever you don't have a pressurized system. So that's pretty much a standard procedure to go into a boil order.
One of the things you guys are doing is bringing water from surrounding cities going out. Can you kind of tell the resulting coming here, providing water after Westar?
Yes, a huge effort. I'm not sure of those details. I'm not sure if you can help with those, but I know that we talked this morning in the emergency management meeting about bringing in water from several areas, and I can't remember. Do you know how many loads we know that we have headed this way at this time? There will be more than one area too, I think, as a distribution point. Right now, as you probably know as you came in here, there's a line of traffic out here. So Westar has been very helpful, but there are several other folks too that I know that are helping in that regard.
Where can people bring water to help? Who should they contact if they want to help?
You want to take that, or do you? I'm going to say emergency management is where you contact, and I'm not even sure what that number is right now. I know the number I have. I'm sure they don't want broadcast. So.
To the Anderson building.
Yeah.
The Anderson building.
Okay, so bring it to the Anderson building if you have water to donate.
A couple of neighbors came up to us from 3rd Street saying that water main breaks tend to happen a lot within that area, and they have voiced their frustration with the infrastructure and the lack of resources they say that the city provides towards that. What do you have to say to that, and regarding just moving forward from the situation?
Well, I'd say that's true. I mean, we're like every other city in the state of Kansas, probably in the country. And we have weak areas that get exposed when we have excessive heat warnings and excessive demands on our system. So I'd say we're like every other city. We have way more needs than we're able to fund. And so you find failures. Yes, sir.
The expected boil water advisory, how long?
Don't know quite yet, because that's going to be dependent upon passing several bacteriological tests that we got to take, and we've got to take them to Topeka to determine whether they pass. There's like a 24-hour incubation period before we even know the results. And as we take a series of those, all of those tests have to pass. So if you even have one that fails, it extends another day what you've got to do until those are passed.
If the system comes up fine and the test comes back fine, what would be your expected time to lift the boil water?
First of all, KDHE issues and they will lift any boil order. It's not done by the city.
Right.
I would say absolute best scenario would be maybe Saturday.
So what are restaurants supposed to do? Because they're using water. Now, can they wash dishes and be okay? Or because I just talked to a restaurant and that was their concern with this boil advisory. They don't even know if they can even open once the water's back up and running because of this boil advisory.
Well, the boil advice, certainly they can boil the water like everybody else is going to have to. I mean, so anything that you consume, anything you drink, anything you involve in food preparation will need to be...
Washing dishes too?
Well, I don't know. I'm going to leave that determination up to KDHE.
Because that's what restaurants are
Sure.
curious about.
And I'm not going to try to answer that one.
As the water is coming back on, is there anything residents can do to help prevent any damage to their own pipes? Would it be recommended that they maybe open a faucet?
Certainly be careful when you open those, because you're going to have entrapped air in virtually every water line. I'm sure there'll be a few that will escape this, but not very many. So open slowly, bleed off the air, and then I'd bleed off the water a little bit as well. I wouldn't just get in a hurry to consume that in any way, shape, or form, just to be safe.
What specific towns are affected? Kind of touch on every area that's affected by this water.
Well, certainly the city of Emporia, that's about 25,000 population. The impacted areas, we have 3 cities that we serve as well in the surrounding area, and we have 4 or 5 water districts. However, they also have capacity, so they already have water tanks and things like that, storage that they may not have had a problem. I think we heard from at least 1 or 2 that they didn't lose pressure, so they're not going to have a problem, because they had enough storage in their water tanks and things like that to maintain pressure during this event. So some will be impacted, some will not be. If you didn't lose pressure, you don't need to go into a boil order.
Do you know the specific ones that?
I do not. I've been focused right here at the point this morning, so. Good questions.
What lines of communication, how are we going to know the advancements of the process?
I'm sure it'll be on the websites and social media. Actually, that's probably a better question for you, Tammy, if you don't mind.
Sure. We will continue sending out press releases and updates as we get them. A couple of other things that we wanted to kind of ask the public is to limit your use of water when we do start getting our pressure back on. Also, we would like for you to limit outside burning and also outside watering. If you would help us out with that, that would help everyone with their regular consumption. So we are still offering water here at the Anderson building available, so you can drive through and grab some water. That will still be available for as long as we need it. And after that, we'll just keep you updated on Facebook and social media and keep those press releases coming out to you. Thank you very much.
You know when the next press release might be?
The next press release will be at 4 o'clock today right here. Thank you.
Okay, thanks everybody.
If you're just tuning in, we've been live at a press conference in Emporia where officials have been briefing the public on this major situation. A water main break occurred in a 20th line coming out of a water treatment plant in Emporia earlier this morning. This does affect the city of Emporia, which has a population roughly of 25 to 30,000 people. It is also impacting much of Lyon County. Lyon County has established a point of distribution at the Lyon County Fairgrounds for bottled water. There are numerous groups that are contributing to provide bottled water to the public right now. Lyon County has also coordinated mutual aid for fire support and water support to maintain operations of cooling units at the hospital. The hospital is also impacted in this situation. And this whole situation does impact 3 cities, 4 to 5 water districts. However, as you just heard there, water tanks and storage units are available in some of the cities, so the pressure may not have been impacted in several of those cities. They did have to shut down service as well as the water plant earlier this morning to resolve this issue. And in the last 30 minutes or so, they just reported that they have rebooted the system for the water to come back out. It is a slow process, though. They do advise us this will take 5 to 6 hours to bring the water fully back on for the area in Emporia. And then once water does come back on, there are several advisories from the city. They're asking to limit your use of water at home when it comes on, to not overload the system. They're also advising to avoid outside burning as well as avoid any lawn or outdoor watering at this time. Again, this is a situation that has not happened in the area for 30 years. And this is a very important situation that we are continuing to cover here on KSNT News. Of course, a main aspect of the dire part of the situation is the temperatures. We are now in triple digits today. Meteorologist Kyle Borkett has an update on what we can expect for weather in that area.
Good morning, Brittany. Yeah, what has me concerned, of course, is the weather forecast. A typical summer day, but that's not necessarily good news for the folks down in Lyon County this morning around the area of Emporia. I want to first take you to West Topeka this morning. The camera shaking a little bit here. Why? It's a little breezy outside. A hot and moist southwest wind, upwards of 20 miles an hour. But notice the sky conditions. Nothing but searing sunshine, and you can even see the haze out there. Here's what I expect for actual air temperatures this afternoon. Our big board of highs will start you down in Emporia at 100 degrees, making today the hottest day so far this year of 2017. Topeka 101, Lawrence and Kansas City in the upper 90s, and even hotter farther north and west. Manhattan, Concordia, Clay Center. You guys have already been in the low 100s so far this year. However, still very hot and humid. And the feel-like temperatures even hotter than that. And you'll see those here in a second. Remember that heat warning is in effect not just for today, but right straight through Saturday. Not set to expire until Saturday evening at 8 o'clock. And we're not the only ones. Millions of people in the Midwest and the upper Great Lakes are dealing with this searing sunshine and lots of heat and humidity. It is not even lunchtime yet, and here's how hot it feels outside. This is the graphic that really has me concerned. It feels like 102 currently in Topeka. These feel like temperatures combining the heat with the humidity. Down in Emporia, it feels like 98 degrees, and at Forbes Field, 103. Of course, we've been keeping you updated all morning long, but Brittany, that's basically it for the weather forecast. A boring forecast this morning, but that's not necessarily good news. It is hot outside.
All right, thank you, Kyle, for that update. Just a reminder, there is water distributions at the Lyon County Fairgrounds for anyone who does need bottled water. To stay up to date on this major water main break, as well as any weather updates and heat advisories throughout today, make sure you do visit our website, ksnt.com. And for minute-by-minute coverage, you can also download our KSNT News app. And we will continue to keep you updated all throughout the day. Again, we are told that it will take another 5 to 6 hours for the water to completely come back on. So be patient. And when it does come back on, please use caution with the amount of water that you are using. We'll keep you updated online and on air throughout the day. From there, we'll return to your regular programming.